introduce the second presentation of this session, which is visualization and graph-based storage of customized changes in early design phases. And again, I'm sorry for the pronunciation of this. I think some of the German surnames are difficult to me. Daniel Naps, Atha Zahedi, Markus, König, and Frank Petzold. The presenter of this paper is around.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So please, go for it.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm going to present the paper Visualization and Graph-Based Storage of Customized Changes in Early Design Phases. First of all, I would like to start with a little motivation. The motivation is to support early design phases and to make the architect's work more comprehensible and transparent for other users. The important thing here is to consider especially design decisions. Design decisions not only about the whole building or the design of the building, but in particular of well-being factors of users or energetic factors or something like this. And these design decisions are limited to the architect knowledge. So every architect just knows about his design. And this is not often transparent. And these implicit knowledge of the architects, we would like to make more explicit for all other users. And the customized changes in the BIM models are often necessary because of some factors in the construction or some factors in the beams or in the load-bearing walls. And this is difficult to trace for other users. And it overcomes mostly that the storage of these buildings and of these graphs is not covered or inconsistent. So other users are not really able to take a look what really happened in a design. And for this, we decided to create a graph-based storage to find an optimized way to storage these information. There are two fundamental approaches. The first approach is the variant management. The variant management is created out of three variant types, namely the product variants, structural variants, and functional variants. Product variants are, for example, doors and windows in a building. Functional elements have a specific function in the building, for example, load-bearing wall or a column. And the structural elements are the structure of the whole building. These elements can be assigned by the components in the BIM model, and afterwards they can be exported as a graph. And then we go through a graph pattern matching so that we can search other buildings in a graph database for similar buildings by graph matching and similarity calculation. The other approach is the design episode. Design episodes can be multiple times made in one building. For example, in this one here. A design episode is, for example, part of the floor plan or a part of the building with a specific idea of the architect. So the architect is able to tag these ideas, for example, as explanation tags and descriptions. And then it is more comprehensible and transparent for other users to understand the idea of the whole design. Coming quickly through the methodology, we use the label property graph approach because it sometimes overcomes the RDF approach because of the internal hierarchical structure and the reduced storage. And with this approach, it is able to capture the importance of the edges and the relationships. And this is quite important for the calculation of the similarity. As already told, the graph pattern matching, we use the subgraph matching because you will never find a one-to-one isomorphism in two buildings. So you will never find the same graph you will search for in the database. And within this inexact pattern matching, you can query through the graph database and find a match out of a graph database for the idea you are looking for. We created a plugin which enables to assign, manipulate, and change these explanation tags. Explanation tags are, for example, privacy or static explanation tags. They can also be for a great view or something like this. And all these explanation tags are integrated into this plugin. This plugin is also for the whole design episode. So you can create these explanation tags and then create an overall design episode for it. And then afterwards export it as a graph into a database. And within this plugin, it is able to record and save these settings, and also to be able to change variant types and assign them directly into the BIM model. The application was made by an example for a Revit plugin. The Revit plugin can be directly accessed in the interface at the top of the Revit. And there you can set these explanation tags. You have a list out of explanation tags, and you can find nearly every explanation tag we used to use in these design decisions. And by setting these explanation tags, you can also create the whole design episode and set and modify variant types. The create, and then afterwards you can export it, for example, in a graph database. In this case, it was Neo4j. This is what it can look like. The whole design episode is, for example, this part of the floor plan, and there we have a functional variant, for example, load-bearing wall, and we have a structure variant here, the outer wall. The design episode is named, has a unique identifier, and it is able to get back to the BIM model. So in this case, the architect maybe look for a more privacy design episode. So there is a wall between the dining and the kitchen, and it is for more privacy, or that between dining and kitchen that there is no noise or no smell. In addition, the graph can be looked like this one. The design episode is always on top of the graph, and as you here can see the IFC wall and the IFC curtain wall as function and structure variants are outlined. When the architect is not convenient with this outcome, he is able to change these. And for example, for the function variant, he can search for options between the option management and can look for other options for this function variant. In this case, there is another option for it, for example, a column. And within this column, also the design episode changes. And these changes are captured so that the architect now can say, oh, I would like to have a more open living concept. And additionally, the structure variant is here also changed, and he's not more into privacy anymore, but he would like to have a great view or something like this. Additionally, the graph also changed, and here it is also every change in the graph is stored in the database, and within every change, the database will get more and more graphs. Coming to the conclusion, the documentation of the design decisions was very important, because there was not directly a case where architects can sign these variant types into a directly BIM model. And with this plugin, it is easy to customize these changes and tell other users about the idea of the whole concept. And it is very important to have a storage that is graph-based, because it is a reduced storage. And as already known, BIM models are not really good for storage them, because when you have 100 or 1,000 of BIM models, it is very complicated to query them. And in the end, in the future work, we would like to look for the similarity a bit more. The actual similarity is very simplified similarity. So we check just the IFC entities and weight them, for example, or the architect weights them. And in the future work, we would like to have an enhanced similarity to get more accurate results. And we would also like to integrate some level of developments because, for example, doors or windows can already have different levels. And within different levels, the width and the length will change. And these changes should also be integrated into this concept. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. To stick to the time, particularly. Well, I'm going to invite the attendees of this session to make a question. Again, you can make a live question or you can write down something in the chat box for those that are attending virtually. Any questions? Well, I have a question. If may I? Is there anybody? Because I cannot see if there's anybody asking anything or listening. Okay, I'm gonna ask a question. From your perspective, how do you think you improve the experience of the end user, or how you are thinking or envisaging to improve the end user experience from starting with your research, with this particular research?
Yeah. When I'm understanding you correct, the architect is always making a whole BIM model for a new project. And it is very time intensive to set up a new model for each upcoming project. And it is more efficient, time and money efficient, to have an opportunity to get through a database or to get through other project and find a similar project, for example, the same building or the same use of a building, or the same, in this case, the same design episode of a building, and then can rearrange this building to fit into a new upcoming project. As already said, it is never a one-to-one isomorphism, so you can't take a building and set it up as at another place. This is impossible, but it is possible, or it should be possible, to get the inspiration of a project, to customize these project you found in the database, and then you can use it for upcoming projects.
I was thinking more from the emotional response that end users can have to the different interfaces or system that you develop. But yeah, I think it's a good answer. But I was thinking as well, the interaction with clients, right? Because you're talking about one end user can be the architect. What about the interaction of the design process that involves the interaction with clients and other stakeholders? But anyway, that might be part of a longer answer. Anybody else have more questions, please? Because we have a few seconds.